Emma stared at her phone screen, her heart pounding so hard she could hear it echoing in her quiet apartment. The message was just 3 words, but those 3 words were about to turn her entire world upside down. After 5 years of silence, after convincing herself she had moved on, after building a new life in a new city, he was back. And what he said made her hands tremble as she gripped her phone tighter. It was a Tuesday evening, nothing special, just another ordinary day in Emma's carefully constructed routine. She had just finished her shift at the design agency, kicked off her heels, and settled onto her couch with a glass of wine when her phone buzzed. The name that appeared on her screen sent a jolt through her entire body. Daniel, the man she thought she would marry. The man who disappeared without explanation one rainy morning in September, leaving nothing but a cold apartment and unanswered questions. The message read simply, "I never left." Emma felt the room spin around her. What did that even mean? Of course he left. She remembered that morning like it was yesterday. She had woken up to find his side of the bed empty, his clothes gone from the closet, his toothbrush missing from the bathroom. No note, no call, no text. Just gone, like he had been erased from existence. She had called him dozens of times that day, each call going straight to voicemail. She had contacted his friends, his family, even filed a missing person report before his mother finally told her, with cold eyes and a colder voice, that Daniel had left and didn't want to be found. Now, 5 years later, here he was, claiming he never left. Emma's fingers hovered over the keyboard, 1,000 questions racing through her mind. Where had he been? Why did he abandon her? Why now, after all this time, was he reaching out? Part of her wanted to block his number immediately, to protect herself from the pain she had worked so hard to overcome. But another part of her, the part that still remembered lazy Sunday mornings tangled in sheets and whispered promises under starlit skies, needed answers. She typed back, "You disappeared 5 years ago without a word. What do you mean you never left?" The 3 dots appeared immediately, indicating he was typing. Emma held her breath, then they disappeared, then appeared again. Whatever he was about to say, he was struggling with it. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, his response came through. "I was in a coma for 3 months. When I woke up, I had amnesia. I didn't remember you, Emma. I didn't remember us. My family thought it would be easier if I started fresh. They told me I was single, that I had no attachments. They moved me to Boston for treatment. I've been there ever since, trying to piece together fragments of a life I couldn't remember." Emma felt tears streaming down her face before she even realized she was crying. A coma? Amnesia? It sounded like something from a movie, too dramatic to be real. But Daniel had never been a liar. He had been the most honest, straightforward person she had ever known. That was one of the reasons she had fallen so hard for him. "Why are you telling me this now?" she typed with shaking fingers. "Because I remembered. Last week, I was walking past a coffee shop in Boston and they were playing that song, our song, the night we met. And suddenly it all came flooding back. You, our apartment, the way you laughed at my terrible jokes, the ring I had hidden in my desk drawer that you never knew about. I remembered everything, Emma. And I've spent the last 7 days trying to find the courage to reach out to you." Emma's breath caught. The ring. She had fantasized about Daniel proposing countless times during their 3 years together. She had imagined how he would do it, what the ring would look like, what she would say. But he had vanished before any of that could happen, and she had convinced herself she had been imagining the depth of his commitment. "You were going to propose?" she typed, her vision blurry with tears. "I had the whole thing planned. Your birthday, on the rooftop restaurant where we had our first date. I had even written a speech. Then I got into that car accident on my way to pick up the ring from the jeweler. I don't remember anything from that day. The last thing I clearly remembered, until last week, was my college graduation." Emma stood up and walked to her window, looking out at the city lights blinking in the distance. Her life had been so simple an hour ago. She had a good job, a nice apartment, even a casual boyfriend named Marcus who was sweet and uncomplicated. Nothing like the intense, all-consuming love she had shared with Daniel, but safe. Predictable. Now Daniel was back, and every carefully built wall she had constructed around her heart was crumbling. Emma, I know I have no right to ask anything of you, his next message read. I know you've probably moved on. I know 5 years is a lifetime. But I need to see you. I need to explain everything face to face. I need you to know that leaving you was never my choice. That every day since I remembered has been torture knowing that I lost you. Her phone rang before she could respond. It was Marcus, probably calling to confirm their dinner plans for Friday. She let it go to voicemail. How could she think about Marcus right now when her entire past was demanding her attention? She looked down at her phone and typed, "Where are you?" "I flew into town this morning. I'm staying at the Marriott downtown. Room 417. But Emma, I understand if you don't want to see me. I understand if you hate me. I just needed you to know the truth." Emma sat back down on her couch, her mind racing. Should she go? Could she handle seeing him again? What if all those old feelings came rushing back? What if they never really left? She thought about the last 5 years, the therapy sessions where she worked through her abandonment issues, the dates that never quite clicked because she was comparing everyone to a ghost, the nights she still occasionally woke up reaching for someone who wasn't there. She picked up her phone and ordered a cab. Some questions couldn't be answered over text. Some conversations required looking someone in the eye, seeing the truth written across their face. She changed out of her work clothes into jeans and a simple black sweater, pulling her hair into a ponytail. Her hands were still shaking as she applied a touch of lipstick, then wiped it off. This wasn't a date, this was closure. Or maybe it was something else entirely. She didn't know anymore. 20 minutes later, Emma stood outside room 417, her fist raised to knock. She could hear movement inside, and suddenly she was terrified. What if he was different? What if the Daniel she remembered didn't exist anymore? What if this was all some elaborate lie? But she had come this far. She knocked. The door opened, and there he was. Older, with lines around his eyes that hadn't been there before, his dark hair slightly longer than he used to wear it. But those eyes, those warm brown eyes that used to look at her like she was his entire world, they were exactly the same. Emma, he breathed, and the way he said her name, full of longing and regret and hope, made her knees weak. "Tell me everything," she said, her voice steadier than she felt. "And Daniel, don't you dare leave anything out." He stepped aside, holding the door open, and Emma walked into the room, into the unknown, into the possibility that maybe, just maybe, some love stories don't end when you think they do. They just pause, waiting for the right moment to continue.